Good afternoon and a very warm welcome to Samanvaya 2025, the flagship HR Conclave of the Indian Institute of Management Kashipur. At IIM Kashipur, we take immense pride in hosting this annual gathering, where the finest minds from industry, academia, and our student community come together to shape conversations around the future of work. It is our privilege to welcome distinguished leaders, esteemed faculty members, and our brightest students to this truly special occasion.
The theme for this year, the new social contract, balancing employee freedom and organizational discipline, reflects the pressing questions that define the modern workplace. As organizations reimagine flexibility, accountability, performance, and culture, HR leaders today hold the responsibility of crafting a new equilibrium. On that is humane innovation and future readiness. Our second panel, Beyond Hours, Redefining Performance Metrics for Digital Age, will reflect on how performance in today's world is no longer about the number of hours spent, but the quality of impact, innovation, and outcomes delivered. Joining us are eminent leaders who embody this shift. Mr. Manoj Kumar Prasad, Vice President, Digital Transformation and Adoption at Reliance Industries Limited. With 28 plus years of experience, Sir has been a pioneer in deriving digital adoption and capability building. We now invite Professor Utkarsh, Professor and Chair of Placements, to present a welcome bouquet to Mr. Manoj.
Now we have Mr. Pratyush Rahul, Head Campus Hiring and Chief of Staff to the Global Head of HR at Tech Mahindra. A visionary people strategist, Pratyush has transformed large-scale hiring and talent ecosystems. We now invite Professor Utkarsh, Professor and Chair of Placements, to present a welcome bouquet to Mr. Pratyush. Now we have Mr. Rushal Chaudhari, Assistant Manager HR at USDC Projects India Pvt Limited, an emerging HR professional shaping agile campus hiring and recruitment strategies. We now invite Professor Deepak Verma, Professor and Chair of Placements, to present a welcome bouquet to Mr. Rushal. We are deeply grateful to Mr. Shivam Maheshwari, Senior Product Manager at ServiceNow, for moderating this engaging discussion, who currently manages two flagship products. With rich experience in defining product roadmaps, aligning stakeholders, and leading go-to-market strategies, he brings strong expertise in building market-driven scalable solutions. We now invite Professor Deepak Verma, Professor and Chair of Placements, to present a welcome bouquet to Mr. Shivam.
Before we move into our discussion, let us watch a short introductory video that captures the spirit, journey, and ethos of IIM Kashipur.
The Indian Institute of Management Kashipur is the second generation IIM set by the Government of India in 2011. In all these years, the institute stands true to its vision and mission. Our vision is to be an institute of eminence that fosters management research and education and develops leaders for creating positive societal impact in a changing world. And disseminate knowledge through applied and interdisciplinary research and practices in emerging areas of management. IIM Kashipur, a completely student-driven campus, from placement to functional work, from academic to non-academic activities, there is a student body for each discipline. Being a part of such student bodies and event-specific teams, students get first-hand experience of time management, working in a team, situation handling, and managing positive relationships with the administration. We aim to achieve new heights with every new batch of students. We celebrate the ups and downs of the journey of our beloved students and would like to wish them luck for upcoming years.
Today, we are privileged to learn from some of the most respected voices in the HR domain. Their ideas will help us reimagine the evolving balance of freedom, discipline, and performance in the new world of work. With that, let us commence the panel discussion on Beyond Hours, Redefining Performance Metrics for Digital Age. I now hand over to our moderator, Mr. Shivam Mohish.
Check.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. How are you doing? I know you just had lunch, so probably some of you might be feeling sleepy, but we'll ensure that we'll have one good panel discussion which will be engaging and will utilize the best of your time that you have given here. So firstly, before we actually start the panel discussion, talking about the college, I don't know if you all of you know that I'm an alumni of this college. So it feels so good to come back to this college after 5 years while I was actually entering the campus gates yesterday. I could actually, recollect some of the good memories and also not so good ones as well. And it feels so good. And when somebody from the Basecom team actually called me up and invited me to this event, I was for a moment thinking that this is more of an HR event. How could I actually add value to this, given that I am into the IT space and working as a senior product manager? But then I realized, there has to be someone who is also on the receiving end, where HRs are actually creating policies and they're defining the performance metrics and all those things. And we are the ones who have to fulfill those company goals and meet those expectations set by the managers. So I thought, yeah, maybe it is a good opportunity. And who would actually miss the opportunity to come to the college after 5 years? We were the unlucky batch who couldn't have the conversation. So thank you to all the organizing team for having me here. I can tell you one thing, I've been on the other side, sitting as a student, listening to these webinars, guest lectures, and panel discussions. And I've been also on the organizing end. And now I'm sitting here as a moderator. So I think life has come a full circle. But talking from a product manager's point of view, I can say that I have actually worn all the shoes, all the user personas I'm now familiar with. So I think I'll be in a better position to organize this event forward. Okay, so with that note, I would like to first of all welcome our distinguished guests who come from various industries. We have people from oil and gas, we have someone from automobile, then we have someone from edtech. And today we are going to discuss on a topic related to the theme, which is the new social contract. So balancing employee freedom and redefining and balancing the organizational discipline. Our topic today, which is beyond us, redefining performance metrics in this digital age, actually touches on a very important factor, which is how do companies redefine the performance metrics when us at desk do not actually reflect the true value an employee is actually delivering. So the big question is, if not us, then what? And to uncover this, we have our panel who's going to share their thoughts, who have been at the forefront in their organizations and shaping these transformations in their companies. And we would love to hear from you all as to how your companies have adopted this shift. But before we go there, just want to understand from the students who are sitting here, how many of you have prior corporate experience here? Great to see that. And I see there are a lot of freshers and there is a mix of people coming from some corporate experience. So can somebody tell me what do you mean, what do you understand by when we say performance metric? Anyone? People probably who would have, sure.
And for me, it was how many defects or how many KPIs that were.
Got it. Yeah, so as he highlighted, probably the work that he was doing, the value that he was adding, that is how companies were actually, his team was actually measuring the performance of the work he's doing. But traditionally, performance has always been related to presence. Logging hours, how visible you are in front of your manager. I remember when I actually joined my first organization back in 2013, we were asked to submit timesheets every week, every day. Because those days we did not have this remote culture which came after COVID, and we were asked to be present in office. And I also remember some of the colleagues, saying that their managers used to question if an employee was actually away even for 10 hours. So those were the days. But now, 10 years or 15 years later, in this digital age, do these metrics still add value? So let's begin our discussion. I would like to ask the first question to our panel. What, in your view, actually triggered the shift from time-based metrics in your organization? And how do you think that the employee and organization dynamics still would hold true with the new metrics that you're thinking of?
Okay, so can you hear me? Yeah, console.
And while we get the things ready, we don't want this to be a one-sided discussion. So if you have any questions or any doubts regarding whatever we are discussing, feel free to raise your hand. We'll definitely have a dedicated Q&A session at the end. So you can note down your questions.
It's a small group. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Cool. So I don't know whether the other students, those who are also part of this ecosystem, but they are somewhere in the classroom. So first of all, thanks to IIM Kashi for inviting me. Inviting me for this campus. So I will just take some examples which I have already experienced. I think the hourly rated the performance is still going on, and if I take most of the organizations, those who are into IT, still they have to fill the timesheets on hourly basis, and based on that, their salary is being calculated. And the reason is very simple, that most of the IT organizations, they basically serves to either to the European countries or to the US, US and all. So you can say 70% of the revenue which we are generating in IT companies, it is all coming from US. Rest is rest of the world. So in US, you basically they give the payments based on your engagement on the say hourly basis and all, and it will continue. It's not going to stop and all. But yes, there is a big shift in terms of how you're going to evaluate the performance of the employees and all. So earlier it was piece rated. I don't know whether you heard this word or not. Piece rated means this is the piece. If you complete this particular piece, irrespective of time and all, you'll be paid some amount, token amount or something. Then we moved to the hourly, and now we are started talking about the OKR based performance. So OKR is nothing. It's basically objectives and the key results. And if you ask my organizations, we go with not any other model. So model on the performance management is McKinsey model is there. You can heard and you can read also. There is a model called balance scorecard that is also there. And the third model, which is we call it basically it's being used in most of the organizations, is that is SMART goals. So these are the three models which is being used. But there is a huge shift, particularly when we started measuring your performance based on the outcome, not on, what hourly you're engaged in. So the outcome based is basically the OKR. And there are a lot of tools available. In fact, we are done with one particular tool called Workboard. I don't know whether you or you can Google also. So Workboard is a tool which basically helps you. First, you define your OKR, that is the objective and the key results. Once you have decided, I mean, these are my objective and key results, that will be monitored not on half-yearly, annual, but it will monitor on daily basis. And there every day you are going to get the backlog. So this is being planned on the Jira. Jira is again a tool which is being used for your project management kind of thing. So this is the for today's target. It's very pretty much similar to the Gantt chart and all. And this is what we have achieved, and this is the backlog. So if you see the framework which is being used as an agile framework and all, they work on this basic principles, design principles. So there is a huge shift in spite of going for the quarterly evaluation, performance management, or getting into half yearly and then getting into the annual. You have nowadays the system which are available for the performance, which evaluate your performance on the real time basis. And I have given you one tool also. You can explore into the Google, or maybe you can go to the all AI based tools, whether it's a ChatGPT or Copilot or what, and you can find multiple tools are available, which is basically devised organization based also. So for my organization is concerned, we go with the OKR, and the tool name is the workboard, where we evaluate the performance of the individuals based on what he has contributed on the outcome, not on the process, not on the input. And this is how there is a huge paradigm shift is also happening. And that has came into enforce, when we started monitoring, some of the Gen Z, those were invisible. So if you see, the topic on which we are here, that is the agility is very important. So now the employee engagement has gone, it's become a history. Now it's the employee empowerment. So employee empowerment is nothing. Basically, you have to manage your own show. When I'm saying manage your own show, if I wanted to take a leave, I think in the conventional process, my leave applications will go to my reporting manager. My reporting manager will see, and he will see, okay, if the work is getting impacted, you're not going to get the leave. But now in the current system, we can apply for the leave, your honor of your own outcome. Irrespective of whether you're operating out of say Dehradun or Goa or Mumbai or say Noida, doesn't make any difference. They will just look for your outcome, and based on the outcome, will be paid on. So that's why you see a lot of the new concepts came into the industry. That's called the gig talent, gig economy and all, where you are responsible for only your piece. Okay, and your entire the pay process or the payoff will be based on what you have done it as a part of the outcome, not as a part of the process. So that's the shift which is happening across the industry. And any conventional industries, I can anticipate, because my company is basically into the manufacturing part. They are into the new technologies also. They are into the new energy. So seeing the sustainability part and all, I think this model is going to work for all the industries gradually, because there is a shift which is happening, and it will continue to happen, and everything will come at last on the outcome, not on the process part and all. So that's what I just wanted to add as a part of my credentials and experience into the industry.
Thank you so much.
I think it is not required now.
Yeah, but I think अभी एक बार
Share your mind. Yeah. Just we are trying. Problem होगा, but
Yes, it is. So basically what we are discussing is we are trying to compare clocking time with creating value. So what I feel, there should be a madhyaman. Everybody understands what is madhyaman? Middle path. So you cannot remove this part where you are calculating the hours. And also, like sir said, I hope you must have gone through BSc, what exactly BSc is, business scorecard, where you calculate what financial things or financial improvements that you are trying to bring in, an employee tries to bring in. Secondly, the customer satisfaction, the second point is there. Third, you have people, whether the people in your team or the employees in your organization are getting proper learning and development. The last one comes out to be the processes, whether proper innovations are there in your organizations or not. So these are the 4 parameters that are calculated in BSc. Sir, just trying to elaborate what exactly you said. So one more point that sir was telling, that we cannot remove the hourly basis thing just because people have to be in the organization altogether. An organization cannot rise with an individual, right? So you need to have people who are working together, and that can only happen. And let me cite you an example. Generally, a global organization have their a common meeting, that is the cadence call, wherever they have. It is at around 6:30 or 6 p.m. in the evening, just because people all across the globe are awake that time. Even I was not aware about this till I joined Tech Mahindra. Before I was there with Tata Steel, and there we used to have a working hour right from 8 in the morning to 5 in the evening. And then we used to have leisure time in clubs and gyms or anywhere else after our office hours. But now the things have changed. Now, generally, I go to offices at around 11 a.m. in the morning. The one who was going 8 a.m. in the morning, right now going at 11 a.m. Just because there are many people in my team who are coming to office at around 9. Some people are coming at around 12. So there should be a common time frame where all these people are there in the organization. So that can only be catered only when we are taking care of both the aspects, whether you are calculating the aspect of creating value or whether you are calculating the time. You want to say something?
Not required. I believe I'm audible to everyone here. Correct. Firstly, thank you for receiving this chance from IIM. And likely said, like most of the topics, whichever comes into the mind first after discussing about this, but just thinking about this topic. So the major things and the major pointers are already been discussed by sir. Correct. So exactly like why it started, how it is going to be. So it's all about the tradition, like we can say. When we started it, so it was around most of the jobs which are there into the market, like let's say a domestic part of India. So mostly employees were from banks or maybe from the production things, correct? So that work can be only counted most like the biggest matrix or the biggest parameter that was able to counter the things to how to pay, when to pay, or how much to pay. That was exactly onto how much he had worked, what time he had invested into, and how much days he had worked. So this type of the parameters were there, correct? So likewise, when the nature of work ultimately had changed, the number of people who are working into what sector, the numbers had changed. Maybe like multiple, let's say that time of time, the era where people were working like let's say 20% of people were working onto a contractual things where it was completely onto contract there. Okay, whatever if at all employer or payer is paying onto someone's job or someone's particular job that had been done, so it was counted onto the things that chalo, it's something we can pay it down as per the work. But 80% of jobs were into something where it was binded to the time thing. So as current market, if you are analyzing the things about the jobs currently, what exactly the market currently is working and how it is working. So again, like this market, this era is somewhere which is also giving a chance for a freelancer or a freelancing thing to come in. It ultimately say that the nature is going towards the work done or exactly the work things, how productive the work is done, how much work is done, or exactly what exactly the work is done. So as per the nature of work, it is completely with regards to the payments, with regards to the appreciations, with regards to everything. So biggest parameter is that continuously. If I talk about a current office day or a regular office day, let's say general office day, let's say someone is getting a oral appreciation. Where and why? So maybe 2 out of 100 times someone will be talked on or appreciated onto a punctuality thing on the time basis. But what about 98 out of 100? So it will be onto what exactly the job had been done and additional effort that had been added to the person. So this is also the biggest parameter where this topic is actually adding a value is the nature of current era, the requirement of current era, where exactly like the mindset of the people, like if I talk about my grandfather, so he must be with that mindset ki it's morning, I have to go to my employer and he'll be returning back by evening. Correct? And what mindset I have is I have my working hours very honestly, but what exactly ki today I'm having this work and I'm going for this work. So this had been a change, I think. So era is a requirement. The nature of the work, the nature of the world, the era, it exactly had been changed. So definitely, as mentioned, it should be counted on a regular basis. If at all we are having an eye, because the compensation was told yearly, but it was counted on a daily basis, on a daily minute, each and every minute, right? So similarly, a task, a KRAs, a KPIs, or the OKRs, that should be monitored, that should be given a feedback with on a regular basis. You have to be monitored, you have to monitor it down by yourself, by your organization. So what exactly the things are there, how you're growing. It is not something that I'm completing up my 9 hours, to be very honest. And the nature currently, I'm coming back to that topic itself. If we are talking about the sustainability of the organization or either a person or an individual's career. So the sustainability is mostly onto the productivity part, because eventually organization with 100 of years of experience might be beaten up by the organization who's starting 10 years back.
just due to the impact that are creating into the industry. So this is how the world is currently. So I believe the impact, the way of work you do, the contribution that you're adding to the industry, to the team, or to the yourself, your career. So that is exactly required currently into this era. So yeah.
Yeah, I think there are good point of views on this, like how the performance should be measured. While Mr. Manoj was actually talking about balance scorecard and it should be outcome based. But do you think that this will apply across the industry, that the performance can be based on the outcome? For example, let's say research or let's say strategy, where we don't know what the outcome would be of this research or what are the outcomes of a strategy that we are thinking of. In those fields or in those industries, do you think that this balance scorecard or outcome-based metric is still the right evaluation parameter for the employee performance?
So I take the example, of the R&D centers. Have you heard ISRO, NASA? If a government of India is funding, say 10,000 crores of rupees without having any outcome, how long it will sustain? They are R&D, basically R&D for the defense. How long it will sustain? It will sustain? Yes or no? Outcome is required even in R&D also. So I think there are two exceptional, I think our moderator has rightly identified, where outcome matters, but the time factor is not there. So if you're, developing some kind of a drone, or you're developing some kind of a, say the satellite, it may take 10 years, 20 years, 15 years, but without outcome, the grant will be not given. There are only one agencies, which get the grant without having any accountability. And I'm not wanted to name that. Everybody heard, they knows the RAW, RAW. No outcome, nothing, nobody will be asking. And that's the only organization which has been not audited by the government of India. Okay. So whether it's a R&D, even in the corporate also, 2% of their entire revenues goes for the R&D itself, but there is an outcome, and the outcome that goes for the patent. So if X organizations, they are basically doing R&D, and if they are getting some outcome, they immediately go for the patent and all, and their revenue, they generate the revenue from there on, because that's the business operating model for generating the revenue. Now coming back to whatever I talked of balanced scorecard or OKR, because these are the models. So balanced scorecard, frankly, if you ask me, they measure only the financial parameters. Okay, and financial parameter is the universal truth. If I say my organization is having a turnover of say 8,000 crores or maybe 9,000 crores, that's the only one parameter I'm talking of, which is the financial, which shows the strength of my organizations. So that will remain, but there are some kind of a parameters within the organization. It goes into 3 levels. Okay, so first level is my individual OKR, my individual performance. That is basically the outcome. Now this my individual outcome will go to the team outcome, because anyway I'm a part of some team, maybe finance team or say the planning team or strategy team or marketing team, whatever. So that is basically the team part. The third part is basically, it's called the organization, because my contribution goes to my team or a department, and my department contributions add to the organizational performance. So these 3 staggered, level of the performance needs to be monitored very closely, because we have also seen it, in most of the organizations, particularly when the entire world has gone for invisible. No physical presence into the office, but still you're working. And that's why I think in the morning, Professor Dwivedi also highlighted the moonlighting part and all. So that moonlighting, in fact, in TCS, which is a IT mighty of India, they caught some of the individuals, they are working with the 23 organizations in a concurrent basis. So 23 organizations, they are working in a day. They are serving to 23 organizations, and they are getting the salary from the 23 organizations also. And it was not known to the employer. So that kind of things, if you see the second line, which is basically talking about the organizational discipline, I just reconnect this discipline into a integrity. It's my personal call. If I am honest to the organization or if I am dishonest to the organization, it's my personal call. Even if you bring a best of the best discipline, discipline word is good for the academic institutions, schools and colleges, not for the corporate. Corporate runs on the integrity part. And that's why if you see in most of the organizations, they have some kind of a certifications called 47,000 certification, 27,000 certification, which talks about the integrity of the individual. So integrity is core to you. That's a part of your values and behavior of the organization, which needs to be obeyed and respected by the individual. And nobody can, in fact, there is a word in Hindi called जबरदस्ती. आपको जबरदस्ती करके कोई कुछ नहीं करा सकता, आप कहीं ना कहीं से escape अपना निकाल लो. So it's always better that you should come with the integrity and continue the integrity, because integrity brings the transparency and also lot of the honesty into the organization. Okay, so I'm through.
Any points?
So, what we exactly are discussing here, what are the tangible things that can be measured? And what are the intangible things that cannot be measured, right? You must have studied iceberg theory. पढ़ा है? First year में पढ़ाते हैं, first term में ही पढ़ाते हैं. So, only the tip of the iceberg, but a lot is inside the water, right? So the same thing happens here when you create strategy, whether it is HR strategy, whether it is corporate strategy, whatever things are there, you never know what is going to happen in the next 4 to 5 years. So those things are very much intangible. For that, let me ask you one question before that we proceed. So, anyone who has heard of the term CQ? CQ सुना है? Cognitive quotient. The time you appeared for CAT examination, definitely your cognitive quotient was measured, right? Have you heard about EQ? EQ, what is EQ? How it is measured? Sorry? Who answered? How? So there are many psychometric tests where you measure EQ, right? Have you ever heard about a term called DQ? So DQ is basically drive quotient. So how will you measure whether a person is having a driving force in himself to run a project or to be your friend? Definitely हर तरफ से कोशिश होती है तभी दोस्ती भी बरकरार रहती है, right? So in the same way, now there is a new term that is being coined, and that is innovation quotient. So whether the person is having a quality, whether he is innovative or she is innovative or not. So these are the few things that are happening, and that are still below the water, right? To answer your question, how things are being measured. So while I was in Tata Steel before my study leave, so it was pre-COVID era. So they came up with 360-degree feedback. How you can measure the collaborative index, whether the person is very much collaborative in nature or not. Your peers, your seniors, even your juniors can rate you. So this was not part of earlier KRA. KRA basically in Hindi we used to call it "Kyun rakhe aapko." You must have studied something else, but we used to say "Kyun rakhe aapko," kyun rakhna chahiye aap. So this is what we learned. And KRA, KPIs, but this was a new thing that was introduced in Tata Steel that time, and people were quite afraid. But after 6 months, it was seen that people started behaving in a good manner with their peers. So this is an intangible thing that came out after 6 months, and maybe abhi bhi hoga, but since I have left, I have not seen. Similarly, now here in Tech Mahindra, I definitely see people marking 9 hours, even I do. So, but parallelly, they are introducing this BSc sort of thing. even it was there earlier as well, but it was not very much focused. Now people are very much focused that we should use it. And things are changing. Things are changing in terms of ARA, things are changing in terms of KPIs, the key performance index. And this is how things are being measured. So companies keep on changing. You will definitely get to see some new things coming up after 5 years because AI is getting into. So when people say that we used to have yearly appraisal in my earlier days, even we used to have yearly. Now here in Tech Mahindra, I see the quarterly appraisal here. So I very much related to a hospital. The yearly or annual appraisal is somewhat like post-mortem route. So you are doing post-mortem. After 1 year, you are asking a person that what exactly you did, where you went wrong, but nothing can be revived. But the other way around, when things are very much in the real world data are being used, then I say it is a preventive healthcare unit. So this is how I relate these both the things in terms of hospital.
Agreed. I think one is the breakdown management, other is the proactive management. So it's always good that you should go with the proactive management in spite of going for a breakdown. In fact, you were just talking of, this 60-degree appraisal system and also, but in some of my organizations, like in Tech Mahindra also I worked in Tech Mahindra. So there was a tagline of Tech Mahindra was everybody is leader. So everybody cannot be a leader, then otherwise it will become a Taliban. Okay, so what I understood later, what was basically the message they wanted to give. They wanted to develop or they wanted to create an ecosystem where everybody should lead. Because when you're, leading the organizations, it means you're taking the ownership. And ownership comes with the accountability. So that was basically, one of the tagline which I learned. The second organizations where I worked is the HCL Technologies, where there was a tagline called employees first, customer second. I think if you see the world order, they always see customer is the king. Customer is everything. How come employee is everything becoming, important in HCL? But later on, when I got into the entire philosophy, they wanted to, bring the pyramid upside down. And the reason was basically they work on 3 basic principles, okay, and which is very important when I'm talking about the organization, employee engagement and all. The first principle was the transparency. So don't hide anything. Please bring transparency on the table so that every individuals or every employees should understand that what is happening in the organization. Second was the speed. Speed means anything which comes, if you really wanted to, become agile organizations or agile, the individuals, you should take decision on the real-time basis. And that's why when you talk of the performance management, whether it's AI or non-AI era, the only thing which is going to last is the real-time performance appraisal. It's not, I've, done it, say something, and at the year end, you're asking me what you have contributed. And then based on that, you're taking a call, okay, इस बंदे का रेटिंग जो है हमें आउटस्टैंडिंग करना है या फिर बिलो एवरेज करना है. That's not the way you should do, because now you're interacting with the young generations, the gig generations, the Gen A or Alpha Gen or Gen Z. They have no passions. Okay, they cannot. If you ask him, okay, आज तुम आ जाओ कैंपस से कॉर्पोरेट में, तुम्हारा पहला प्रमोशन जो है we are going to give you after 3 years. Nobody will having patience to wait for 3 years just to get from empty to as a manager. No, not at all. Because they are so disparate, they just tell me what you want me as an outcome, and I will deliver that outcome, and what I want you have to give me. Otherwise, tata bye bye, I will go to some other organization. Because fungibility is so high nowadays, the young generations, why this all quick commerce is very successful. Any answer? Quick commerce like blanket, big basket.
They provide the outcome very readily.
Quick services, 10 minutes, 5 minutes. Correct? You don't have patience to wait for 3 days, giving order, wait for 3 days, 4 days, by the time it gets delivered. So patience is very important, With the young generation, it's very difficult to, make them patient because they have a lot of anxiety. अभी आप इस रूम में बैठे हो, I don't know, mobile is allowed or not. Otherwise, अगर mobile allowed होगा, तो हर 2 मिनट में, FIMO, fear of missing something. अरे कुछ तो छूट गया, अरे मेरे likes अभी इतने नहीं आए. So these are the basically, which is the intuitive thing which comes in your mind very fastly. So the only thing which I am saying, if you are being evaluated based on your outcome and the reward also, it's nothing like, कि जब बच्चा रोएगा तभी उसको दूध देंगे, नहीं तो नहीं देंगे. और बच्चा कब रोता है? साल के लास्ट में. उसको दूध उसी से पूरे साल भर वो रोएगा, लास्ट में उसको मिलेगा दूध. So that kind of, the operating model is not going to sustain. And that's why these all, I call it, the GAFA. GAFA is basically Google, Amazon, Facebook, Meta. These are the basically, the young organizations which doesn't have history for more than, 20, 25 years. But they are all big giant companies. Forget about, the days of when General Motors, GE, they were, having a history of 100, 150 years. And they were all the giants. These all top, top 10 companies. They're excelling only on 2 things. So if I ask you very simply, what is the revenue generations for the Meta? The highest revenue, how they generate revenue? आपको subscription free में मिलता है, advertisement आप free में करते हो. What is the revenue model for them? Data collection, very simple. Because by interacting with you, they generate ocean of data, not lake of data, ocean of data. And those data, they do some kind of a curations, basically based on, the data analytics and all by using various kind of tools. And they make a meaningful inferences, which is being bought by the company. Correct? अभी कितने लोगों ने जाके एक particular sites में visit किया, that data can be given by Google, given by Meta, not anybody else. Now you see Meta, why it is Meta? What is the, the philosophy of changing Facebook into a Meta? कुछ तो reason होगा ना? Don't do Google, yeah, please. Exactly. So that's the right answer, because they wanted to, if you get into their businesses and all, they are creating a virtual real estate. Somewhere, say in Chicago, some particular plot, big castle, being sold, being bought by somebody, again resold. So that way, they are also generating a lot of revenues. So the model is changing. Abhi, if I ask you, maybe I think in that corner, if I ask you one name who influenced you, anybody from the world?
One name that influenced you.
That influenced you. Any political leader, business leader, or hero, heroines, whatever. Ratan Tata. So Ratan Tata is the influencer. If you ask me, nowadays the companies are working on creating a virtual influencer. There is a guy who born in Varanasi, okay, in some small town, studied in Lal Bahadur Shastri School, done his college from BHU, and then gradually he is becoming a, they create the basically a virtual, the influencer with all the history. Even if you go to the Google, you go, say the Chat GPT or say Copilot, you'll find that particular virtual has some history. The virtual actor or virtual influencer, and this is how they started influencing the world. The biggest revenue, basically, if you see, there are some organizations I will not name right now. They generate their revenue based on the influence only. Even during the election part, lot of these influencers, they come into the picture and they've been caught also. It's unethical. Even for the share market also, they are being used. So what I'm saying, the world is changing. It's changing very fast. And to cater to the, the new generations, the Gen Z or the Alpha and all, that requires a very different kind of, I can say, the mantra, because they are impatient. They are very anxiety. So how to, basically supplement and complement those young generations so that you can retain those generations. Because if you see, I think he will also agree on, Tech Mahindra, because the attrition is very high. And the reason is simply, it's not only the financial part. They are not getting the job for which they want. It's not, giving excitement. मेरे को किक नहीं मिलता उससे, मैं कितने दिन तक रहूंगा, मैं जा रहा हूँ जहाँ मेरे को किक मिलता वहाँ. So this is the, the things which are basically happening. And I think being a, coming say from campus to the corporate, what you require to do it, because these all things, you'll start realizing once you got in, working now? Yeah. Once you got into the corporate, but what is your readiness in terms of the skills or in terms of the competency, which can make you sellable, which can make you as a differentiator for the corporate. I think this is the right time. And when I was interacting with, some of your esteemed professors, I think they are also running a lot of the courses which are very relevant to the industry, and that will make you, the Bible also. So what I'm saying, leverage your campus because it's a eco campus, I can say, and try to make a differentiator, because once the, I think if Tech Mahindra or say KPMG and all, they are coming to your campus, they have, the lot of 400 students passed out with XYZ specializations. And if I say in the data analytics, let's suppose there are 200 students, out of 200, whom I should select, that will be defined only by, creating yourself as a value creator or as a differentiator. So you've done something which is basically extra or a plus for you, that will be a sellable, things for you to the campus, to the corporate. So that's how you can groom yourself. That's how you can basically develop yourself, and that's going to, help you in terms, from a discipline to integrity part. That's a transition I am telling you. Discipline is there is integrity. So you need to get into the transitions only when you are basically, understanding what is the demand in the market. When I go, to the campuses and all, in fact, now I'm not going from since last 15 years, but what I was just looking very simple thing. I cannot expect that, you have some kind of a skill. Do I? So select for the attitude and build for the capability, build for the skill. So skill will be built, once you're into the corporate. Here you have to develop the attitude, because you people are going to be the budding manager of the future, the budding entrepreneurs of the future. And that can be basically, can be sellable only if you have some kind of a differentiator. अपने आप को distinguish करो from others by doing something, which is a extracurricular for you.
I think we've got some beautiful points, like how data is actually adding value in gauging some of the performance of the employees. How AI is actually redefining this space. And at the same time, we heard how 360-degree feedback, real-time feedback, that is actually helping the employees. These are some of the new things, new kinds of metrics that are coming in. Traditionally, we used to have a year-end feedback where the manager used to come and tell, hey, this is how you have performed, this is your rating, this is the height that you're getting. But this has changed to some extent in many industries, but in some industries it is still evolving. So what are the other metrics that you think, other than 360-degree feedback, real-time feedback, are coming in the market and which are adding value both to the organization and employee?
So basically, it's all about the tools, right? So there are tools which are giving a real-time feedback, so real-time monitoring of the employee, the task, the governance, what exactly the work had been done. So it is truly available into the market. Yeah, it is something which is dependent on the nature of the business as well, or sorry, the nature of the person, what exactly the job is doing. So if at all I'm talking about sales, so a CRM tools, usually each and every CRM tool carry that per salesperson, sales or something like that reports. If I talk about a human resource person, so it is more into the qualitative. So again, it is a difference between a quantitative and qualitative, each and every operation which you are directly doing. So mostly, if at all, our work is quantifiable. So quantifiable works are usually there is being driven into the AI formats, or there are maybe multiple tools which are covering that. But what if like an R&D person and a departmental person is looking after just a strategy part? So I'd heard somewhere like it is morely counted onto the basis of qualities maybe, and qualities I don't think it would be 100% pure if we depend on to this type of tools or the AI tools with regards to the quantifiable job, sorry, the qualifiable job. So this is how the big question is, so where to tap, because to be very honest, how accountable I am, how integrity I carry, how much strategy or innovations I'm adding to my work, this cannot be justified into a numbers. This cannot be justified into a portal that a company is using. So this is how there again we have to come back to some theories. We have to come back to some of the methods. Like I was working into a startup. It was Kind Careers LLP. So there was 5 simple principles. Like we were somewhere new into the market, correct? So integrity, the accountability of getting that work done, and again we were counting on the sense of ownership. How is the person taking an accountability? Because accountability is something that is not a spoon with fill up of khichdi ke someone can eat me down. Correct. It is something that I have to sense my ownership ki how I'm building up the career. And usually with working into the startups, I had like a sense that things ki the sense of ownership is more into the startup things. And how it comes, because the as mentioned by sir itself, so the biggest point is transparency. Because I was the employer, I know what my exactly my company is visionizing about, where my company is going, what exactly my company is doing, and what my company had been from the time. So this is how where it comes over like the sense of ownership, where I can feel the accountability, I can pick up my responsibility to get that things done, and which indirectly involves me into the like me into the work where I am not bounded of any hours. So this is how there are some critical factors like this is transparency, then accountability, maybe building up an integrity towards the organization, then my activeness or my collaborative culture or nature that I am being into the organization, how I'm getting my day started in the organization, right? So have I'm being the person who's setting a single cup of coffee and be sitting into the corner? No, that will not be helping me in this current era for getting my organization or myself successful. Correct. This is how something I have to be collaborating. I have to be somewhere into the shoes of the company's manager, like my manager and my vision. It is why we call organization an organized thing. It is something like multiple visions or multiple dreams or multiple mindsets, the ideologies. Everything should be synchronizing, right? So transparency can bring that thing out into the person or the system. And if at all, it is very difficult to be very honest for the bigger organizations. On a larger scale, it is not that sort of easy to synchronize each and every individual onto the same page. But yes, if at all, there are some techniques. So this would be the very measurable factor to transform this thing. Because if you are heading towards putting our shoes off or working the timing things and getting onto the account, like the things where we can like count this qualifiable things or the qualities that the employee should have, or whatever the standards that we are like about to build. So the standards would be definitely building onto these things only.
So another thing that sir mentioned regarding attitude. Now, it is very important for the companies to have employees who have the right attitude. Talking from the organization's point of view, how do you gauge the attitude of an employee? Like, are there any tools that are available, or are there any touch points that we are looking at in the life cycle of the employee working in an organization? How are we actually measuring the attitude?
I think there are, the behavioral tools are available. I can name those tools also. Like MBTI is one tool. Then you have, the Form 16 is other. Then Thomas profiling are the other tool. So basically, these tools are give you a very generic kind of, the analysis and the outcome. But if you ask me frankly, it's basically the person, or the managers who understand the attitude of the individual. Attitudes is basically it's a continuous, and it's always good, if you get this this kind of the spread with you. It is also important, but attitude can be negative and positive also. And when I say negative, if you want to go for any kind of a change or a transformations, there will be always resistance to that. So that I call it a negative attitude. Okay. But if the people are ready or employees are ready to understand that if this particular transformation is happening within my organization, there is some reason to that. Let's explore that, and just see that what's in it for me. So that's basically talking about the benefit. So that's the exploration kind of things, which takes you, maybe you are not positive or negative, but you're neutral. But if you the moment you start exploring that, you moving towards towards the positive attitude kind of things, and that's a kind of a culture which needs to be inculcated into the organization. But that defines, your success or failure. So if the organization is negative, you always keeps on trying, अरे हमें तो उस time पे salary मिलती नहीं है, हमें तो incentive मिलता नहीं है, हमें properly increments नहीं मिलते हैं. So those kind of things, that basically brings a lot of breakpoint in the organizations. That also brings a lot of, the negativity in the organization. So it's the responsibility of the leaders to, build a positive culture in the organization. It's very important. And, leaders are basically leaders, and the employees, they are the reflections to the organizations. Because when you go outside, your image will be basically, if I say like him, I work for Tata. Okay, so he says very proudly that I work for Tata. Because Tata is known for not only profit making, they're also known for doing a lot of things which is for the social cause, which is for the, I call it the community building, I call it the CSR activities, which is equally important. If you go any of the Tata plants and all, just see the infrastructure they have developed in terms of township and all. That's, humongous. I mean, say it will give you a kind of a wow kind of a factors and all. So that's why basically, because when you say Tata, a lot of positivity comes into the mind. Oh, that's a good organization, good brand, this and that, whatever you can say. But nowadays, I'm seeing that a lot of small organizations also, they are also providing a lot of good, kind of a work culture, positive work culture, though they are very small. And the beauty of, working with a startup is that nobody is, the boss. Everybody is boss. Everybody, work with the ownership mindset. Everybody work with accountability and all. That's the culture you need to create, because there is no department called planning department, finance department, HR department, marketing department, sales. No, everybody is doing everything. Even the product department also, I can say. So you need to bring that of culture. If you once you pass out from this campus and you get some opportunity to work, on the line function, because line function is the things, which can give you humongous experience, very rich experience, I can say. And try to, if you go to the big organizations, all the processes are defined, all the policies are all defined. So you have to go and follow. But creating those policies, creating those, the processes, that is important. That will be, your learning. So try to get into those kind of organization where, you can get a good learning experience. And that's why I think the morning when we're discussing, there are, 3 E's for you, 3 E for elephant I'm talking about. So 1 is your education, of course. The second part is related with your, the second is the experience. And third is the exposure. So if you carry these 3 with yourself, I think that's a deadly combination for you with a positive mindset again. That is important. And in fact, going back to your previous question on AI and, talked of, there are one thing which is basically followed by the organization is called NPA. NPS, sorry, not NPA. That is the Net Promoter Score. So Net Promoter Score is very simple. Traditionally, if I wanted to buy a mobile or a refrigerator, I used to go and talk to a lot of people, which we are doing now virtually. किसके मतलब क्या उसमें किसके क्या कमेंट आए हैं, कितने लोग कितने स्टार्स पे होते हैं. If you wanted to buy some product, you go to the Amazon.com and then you'll see अच्छा इसके 3 स्टार है, इसके 4 स्टार. So this is basically recommendations. So NPS is something kind of the recommendation. If I like this particular product or maybe these services, I will do with my own effort. I will tell people, okay, ये बहुत अच्छा है, इसको करो, ये अच्छी चीज है, इसको खरीदो, इसके अच्छे features हैं, this have good durability and all. So those kind of NPS is also one of the prime parameter which is driving the organizations, also driving the improvements, also driving the innovations. Gone are the days, if my refrigerator is not working, I will just, call some toll-free number and there will be some customer care. They will take your, the request. And then next day, you will find that some engineer has called from somewhere. Okay, what is the problem? Then he will come and fix the problem. You will go back. So what they do exactly, they will go back and they will register that particular problem with the product and they will send it to the R&D center. And their R&D center, they will do some R&D, and then when they are coming with a new product, new version, they will incorporate those. And this cycle takes almost, 6 months to a year to get incorporated, based on your problem issues and all. But now it's a real time. If I ask you very simply that if I have a phone and if you are finding any problem with the phone, I mean, say I'm talking about the smartphone, what you will do? Please loud. It's a post-lunch session. क्या करोगे आप? चेंज करोगे? नहीं, चेंज नहीं करोगे. कहाँ से यार 20,000 का फोन आपने 40,000 का खरीदा, फिर 40,000 का फोन खरीदोगे? नहीं, जैन जी मतलब पैसे भी चाहिए जैन जी में, खाली एटीट्यूड से नहीं होगा. क्या करोगे बताओ? सर्विस सेंटर, यू गो कॉल सेंटर, वो फिर do left, do right, something they will indicate, and if it is not resolved, then you go to the service center. Once you go to the service center, there will be a queue. Okay, ठीक, आप पहले नंबर ले लो अपना, something like ICICI Bank and all. फिर उसके बाद your turn will come, then one guy will come outside. Okay, give me your phone, I will check and I will come back to you in half an hour. Then I will go inside, I will do something. Okay, ये problem तो है, it will take 2 to 3 days to rectify it. Are you ready to take, leave without phone for 3 days? Yes or no? So what you will do? नया तो नहीं खरीदोगे भाई, पैसे नहीं है, डैडी नहीं देंगे पैसे इतने ज्यादा, क्या करोगे? So there are some companies, they come up with if you have an iPhone and all, they will not ask you a question, what is the problem? Just leave your old phone, transfer your data to the new phone and go. And this is how, the customer centricity is changing nowadays. If you go in US and if you bought something and you wanted to return it, they will never ask even a simple question. Kya problem hui? Kya kharab laga isme? Not at all. Just go to the separate counter. You give your receipt. If it is virtual, it's good. If not, then physical receipt. Your product, they will give back your entire money. You go and buy whatever you want to buy. But in India, क्या कलर है, क्या खराबी है, क्या टेक्निकल, कैसे आपने चलाया है, अच्छे से आपने हैंडल नहीं किया. So lot of things are, but again I am saying no, this is also changing. Even you go to the DMart and all, they will not ask you something. What is the reason why you want to return? So this is how the transformation is happening, and this is happening with the corporate also. It's not that, if you have some grievances and there is nobody to support you on the grievances. If physical HR is not there, then you have a chat GPT. So the chat basically we call it the virtual assistant, HR virtual assistant. Just ping, he will give you all the solution. If it is not there, he will give you a proper direction where you have to reach to resolve it on a real-time basis kind of thing. Because these all virtual assistants on the name of chatbot, they are working on the real time. So this is the era, where the shift is happening and the gear is also changing. So get yourself ready for those.
So coming back to your question, what exactly is measured during interviews? And that is very much important. That's why I stopped. So basically, in our earlier days, maybe 2-3 years back, whenever the questions were asked, it was totally based on SRT, that is situational reaction test. There was a situation given to you, and you were asked what exactly you will do if something happens, right? Same thing is there in army as well. Anybody who has attended SSB? So you have SRT over there. So every question is out. Every answer is out. So what exactly needs to be done to find out a leader there? So there is a new concept, sir. Even MBTI questions are out. And these people are very much intelligent that they will crack it. So now they are coming up with behavioral event interviews. So where your past guarantees your future. At least 80 to 90% of the time, the person who is taking BI interviews are very much accurate on your behavior, that what you will be doing in future. So just Google it, search what exactly is done over there. If not, if you do not find anything, just tell me, I'll share you one book. Maybe 17 to 18 pages you have in that chapter, chapter number 18 or something. So you'll definitely find how to crack your interview.
Just to add, in fact, last week, in fact, I was just, what he's saying, the behavioral event interviews I was conducting. So it's very simple, So there is a role which is called, say, digital marketing manager. Okay, for a digital marketing manager, as a part of the critical competency, I can say there are 3-4 things, which is jotted down as a part of the core competency. Like, you should be excellent on communications. You should understand the market dynamics. So these are the basically critical competencies and all. So based on the competency, when the interviewer is sitting there, he will just ask the question, or tell me from your past experience, how you have handled the agile market, when the COVID was going on and everything was, basically virtual. Okay. So they trigger the question and they expect you should answer it based on the past, what you have done it exactly. It's not bluffing, something which you have not done it, but you have Googled it and you know that this is what I have to say. So that kind of the behavioral event, the interviews, that gives a confidence to the interviewer and also to the interviewee that whatever the question is being asked, it is based on my experience and exposure. And I have to give the answer what I did exactly in that particular situation. That is going to be a success factor for the selection. So this is how the BI is coming into force. And a lot of the organizations now, they are putting, their focus on the BI, not a generic kind of interview, where you can give a CV and they will ask 5 yaksh prashna and then gone, complete. Selected or not selected kind of thing.
I think some of the parameters that you highlighted really make sense in today's world. But now shifting gears towards some of the things that we have been discussing about data, leveraging AI. Now, with adoption of AI coming in every industry, now how are organizations actually leveraging AI to gauge some of the things that were done traditionally in a traditional way? So what are some of the new advancements that AI has brought in this performance space with respect to organizations measuring employees' performance?
I would hope you have gone through Maslow's hierarchy. देखा है Maslow's hierarchy
of needs.
So what was the thing at the lowest level? याद है किसी को?
Physiological.
Physiological. So AI will take that physiological aspect. And now we are moving towards self-actualization, where we will be making the judgments, we'll be making strategies, and everything will be handled by people who will be the leaders. And these AIs will be your teammates. So this is what I feel.
So I think, AI is no more in the corporate talk. AI has become AI is now in action. And I think yesterday there was an AGM, that is the annual general meeting, where, the AI has been given a synonyms of Kamdenu. Kamdenu, why it is famous and all. So AI is now becoming, it's becoming an integral part of all the industry. And if I give the example of, my organization, so where we are leveraging AI like anything. So when I'm saying anything is basically, we talk of any of the business which we are running, and say right from oil and gas to into the retail and now into the, the telecom and the digital India and all. So AI we are using massively into all the business and the business operating model, be it related to the planning part and all. And I will give you a very small example, I think everybody use the mobile. And mobile works on the, the cars. Maybe you can find there is tower somewhere nearby also. So whatever, the talk we do on the mobile and all, it's being properly captured by, the data. So basically we talk in a behavioral way and they take everything into 0, 1, 0, 1. That is the Boolean, And they basically, store those data. And data basically, if I talk of, we also give a lot of emphasis on the sustainability part. So the first part for running the tower is basically the solar. Okay. So we use all the natural resources for generating the energy. If there is a kind of a decrease on the solar part, then it moves to the EV part. That is the electrical, the batteries. This is the second way of generating the energy. And third part, if both the fails, then we go into the DG. That is runs on the generator, basically runs on the diesel and all. Okay, so these are the three ways of creating, the energy part and all, which is of course non-conventional and conventional both. Now the data which is being generated, it's being stored. And nowadays, with the basically the implementation of 5G, and now we are basically positioning for the 6G and all, a lot of data speed is going on, particularly, and if you find, we have a mechanism also which we call it the cow. So let's suppose there is a Kumbh Mela, okay, and we put say almost 1,000 towers there, because seeing basically the crowd and all, how to manage the traffic part and all. But still there is some gap and all. So then we bring, cow is something like Belgadi, Belgadi. So that will be placed in that locations, and that will take all heavy kind of a traffic. So once that particular event is over, they will take out this cow technology from there and all. So the data basically I'm talking of generated, we leverage the AI part for doing the data analysis. And I will also give how this particular things works and all. So based on what we talk of, we generate a ocean of data. Okay, but ocean of data is not meaningful for me. It's just trash for me. Like what we do in WhatsApp University. Something comes up, we just see and क्या करते हैं, delete कर देते हैं. कई बार हम direct delete करते हैं. So trash in trash out होता रहता है. So similarly the data, until you're not making it meaningful, it's not going to make sense. And the mighty of this all, the telecom industry, they have data and they have a huge customer base. So when I'm saying customer, it is going somewhere around, 50 crores or 60 crores or 70 crores. It's not in lakh or thousand and all. This data, once we get settled into the, the data lake or data ocean, what we do usually, we use a kind of a, I can say the language called SQL. Have you heard the SQL? कितने लोग नहीं सुना है? नहीं सुना है. इन्होंने SQL का नाम नहीं सुना है. Because now SQL is being taught in class standard 4 also. So hope I think everybody knows SQL. So SQL is nothing. It's basically, you can, based on that, you can write a small query, correct? And the query is basically nothing. It will just put those kind of, the information which is available into 0101, that will be basically filtered into row and column. Okay, so row and column means इस region का data, like काशीपुर का data मेरे को चाहिए. काशीपुर में I will zoom into the, the IIM Kashipur. इसमें students के क्या है, and then what kind of the conversation is going on. So they will structure the, the entire, I can say, the data into a structured data. And then once the data is structured, then you do slicing and dicing. Okay, I can make out, some kind of a sense out of those data, which was not for any use. That's why, these all Google and, all the search engine companies, they work. So data ko aapne liya, slicing, dicing kiya, and then, you take a decisions. So decisions means, let's suppose if I wanted to launch, say, MG Hector, I wanted to launch in, say, in Kashipur. Okay. So I will try to see the customers, and those customer data will be given by the data which you have already generated and you have made something. So that data will be sold to basically the MGM for positioning, STP, segmenting, targeting and positioning. Why use karenge? And then I will seek, what kind of the product I should place here, which can be sellable here based on the, the buying, the habits or the purchase power of the individuals and all. So this is how, this particular data leveraging AI. So the shift is happening based on, the energy part, and the data basically it's work on taking some kind of, the decisions, and that decisions are basically the real data. It's a fraction of second, just give the command and you will get the entire data on your dashboard, and the entire decisions will be also on the dashboard. So any managers, they can take once you get the visualization of the data. For data, if it is not, helping me in taking decision, it's a trap for me. So जब आप visualizations करते हो, you use some particular tool, whether it's a Power BI or you're using, the Tableau or SIM data, which gives us a kind of, the visualizations to take a decision on the real-time basis. Because anything which is not real-time, even if something is asynchronized, आपने इधर से फोन किया और 2 मिनट बाद उधर सुनाई पड़ रहा है, you will not tolerate those kind of things. So now the data is becoming, it's not only I can say the future oil. AI is also becoming a Kamdenu, and it's very imperative. Whether it's a Wall Street or say, Mumbai का आपका जो Dalal Street हो, everywhere AI and data is important for taking all decisions.
Thank you for highlighting the importance of AI and data. But coming back to the question where Mr. Pratyush highlighted that physiological factors are something that AI is trying to remove, or that is something that is one of the factors that where AI is actually contributing a lot. But what are the other factors when we are actually gauging employees' performance? What are the other factors that companies are trying to gauge using AI? I understand that we are talking about how AI is working, how we are doing the data slicing and other things. But from the organization point of view, how is AI being leveraged to gauge the performance of the employee?
So a short judgmental answer over this. So how AI works? It works on the data. So it works on to data penetration. It collects data, it understands data, learns, and then it works, right? We call it machine learning process or something like that, right? So talking about human culture, human nature, human behavior into the organization, talking about just qualitative things that needs to be countered, correct? So if at all I'm aware about the things in a person, in maybe a team, but talking about organization, maybe there should be a learning of a AI that should be implemented. And if at all the AI knows how the person is, how behavioral aspect of the person is, and professional who's into like earlier, I'll take a short example. Into the decision science, mostly production companies were using that thinking, which line of production could be the best alternative solution for each of the problem, how to deliver it. And so talking about the human part again, so now AI could be that tool which can help us analyzing the exact performance, exact team performances, exact how the employee, the company, exactly which direction, what quantity, what quality they are going, correct? So let's say, for example, a short activity, if at all employees of a team are asked to just talk to that particular tool, that which, let's say, example, a chat GPT. If they're talking for 10 minutes at least with ChatGPT, ChatGPT is smart enough to ask them a questions on alternative basis. Let's say, for example, it will ask me again what exactly I did on day. Then maybe what situations I had faced, what type of counter I had done. Maybe not on the day or like result on day 1, day 2, but maybe on 101 day. Actually, the AI would understand what exactly I'll be doing on this situation, what exactly the capabilities, my core capabilities are, what exactly the competencies I had been expertise over, and what exactly the learnings I should do. So this is how AI could be the best factor, as you mentioned, to counter these things. Beyond others, yes, definitely AI could be that factor which can help us analyze the organization, help us understand the organization, the problems, the success rate, or exactly whichever the information will be required, AI is enough to provide that. Just and learning is required, and I think that the penetration of that AI into the organization by understanding the process, people, place, and everything, that should, I think, be the best alternative to answer for this question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me add a thing. So I was basically doing a dissertation on emotional intelligence. So one of the parameters as input were self-monitoring, like how you understand yourself. Second was that I had taken was Machiavellism. I think everyone is aware of this word Machiavellism. I learned in MBA only. Yeah, I think you must have heard of it. Right. What does it mean? Manipulative behavior in what sense? Machiavellism is generally taken as negative.
if you try to manipulate something and gain your benefit, only then it is called Machiavellianism. Because many of the leaders, even Narendra Modi, does a lot of manipulation, but it is not called high match that time. So so these two were inputs, and then it was on the emotional intelligence, and the final output was the effect of all these three: emotional intelligence, self-monitoring, Machiavellism, on the general health quotient of the employees in different industries in India. So this is what a dissertation that I was doing that time. The same thing can be done by a company where the pulse of the entire department can be found out. And from there, many of the human resource strategies can be aligned. Suppose entire cohort of a specific department is upset, that can be found out by that tool. And from there, you can identify whether these people are upset because of their boss or because of the company's policy. So you can take action on the company policy or you can take action on the boss. So this is what I can relate.
Right. So I think with advancements coming in AI, I think there are going to be multiple other ways in which AI could be leveraged. So I'll just give you my example, what happens in our company. So as a product manager, we are, day in, day out working with the clients, customers, and trying to write down, take down notes. So one thing that AI is completely removing, that you don't have to take down notes now, right? Zoom is already recording, it is giving you the summary. Now, after the requirements have been taken, we have to share it with the development team or the team who's going to work on it, the design team. Even that part, AI is now removing it. You have the requirements, you tell a tool to define what the PRD is going to be. That is getting removed. Once the development is done, the testing, even the testing part, now we have certain tools which is being done by AI. Now, once the testing is complete, you have to release this feature to the customer. And for that, you have to write documents, you have to write content. Now, AI has all the context as to what feature that you have developed, which is the target persona, it is writing the content also. So if you look at the overall, start to end, whatever work that we are doing, AI is actually taking over most of the things that were probably done day in, day out by some of the people. But there are a few things that still remain, like talking to the customers, understanding what their pain point is, explaining to the customers how we are going to solve it, and at the same time having that communication stakeholder management with the various stakeholders. That is one thing that is still there. The other things, like defining the strategy, looking at what competitors are doing, whether they actually add value. But at the same time, looking at the data, what the feedback, as Sir mentioned, nowadays, if you have any problem, you don't have to reach out to the customer representative and tell them, hey, I'm facing this problem. Nowadays, people have become more dynamic, they just give the feedback, and if you don't respond, they are themselves taking decisions. So AI is actually in our organization helping in that way, where if the customers are actually providing feedback, it is getting that feedback, highlighting, hey, these are the areas, these are the features where customer is facing a lot of problems. So you need to focus on this. So I see AI is making a lot of advancement, but I don't see a day where AI would completely eliminate the touch that human has in, at least in my role or many other roles.
Agreed. But I think whatever we talk of, it's more into the Gen AI. Now the new things which is coming up, which becomes a hot cake, is the agentic AI. So agentic AI is nothing, it's a digital worker. You just give a problem statement and it will, whatever he said, it will be done by agentic AI. So I do have, if I take the example, I do have this table, okay. And if I see on the table, I have a bouquet, I have, some soft drinks, some fruit juice, I have a water, I have a kaju, I have cookies, then I have a wafers and all. And I want to buy everything. So if I get into the Gen AI, I have to give a list of all. And then, I have do the prompt engineering. I will just upload it into some of the AI tools, whether it's a ChatGPT or, the Gamma.com, or I can go for Gemini or Copilot and all. And then they will give me some suggestions. Again, I have to give a prompt on. And then, this is how I can do a conversations with the AI, Gen AI, which is going to help me in terms of, zooming into what exactly I want, what quality I want. But now with the agentic AI, I have to give a list only, that's all. Now, once the list is uploaded into the, the agentic AI tool, we will go and search from the Brahman, Brahman, the universe, the world. And based on your proximity, because you are in India, you are in Kashipur, so they will zoom it, what are the nearby outlets. Say outlet means I'm talking about the virtual outlets, it's not physical outlets. They will search that which can match best of the best, the product quality, best of the best features, and best of the best price. Because, if I wanted to buy a laptop, I just interacting with, Ankur before this session, he said, I will take 3 to 4 days, to do all the research and come to, and with a physical visit, and then decide which particular laptop I should take based on the price, the features, and the, the durability and all. But this particular agent AI will take hardly 3 to 4 minutes, max I'm talking of, okay? Because I have a laundry list. And they will come with the suggestions, which will be basically uploaded on your basket. When you do virtual kind of a shopping, there is a basket, there is a wish list and all. And your job is very simple. You have to pay and check out. That's all. The things will be delivered at your doorstep. If you have a collaborations with the, the blanket and all, again 10 minutes. If not, then you have to wait for something, like Flipkart or maybe Amazon kind of things, or a big basket who's going to deliver. So this is how, the quick commerce is also playing a very important role into the life of, if I ask you the life of the individuals. And there are some fintech, I think you have a lot of sessions on the fintech also. Fintech is going to manage this part also, the financial part. Based on your, the budget you have allocated for buying this kind of things, it will release the payment also. Because you have already given a mandate to the bank or the fintech company to release the payment. Only the receipt will come only for your acknowledgement, that's all. So this is how the digital world is shaping, reshaping, designing and redesigning into, customer centricity with a fraction of few seconds or few minutes for your shopping cart. Thank you.
And one final question before we open the floor for questions. We are seeing a lot of advancements coming in how the performance is being measured, employee performance is being measured by the organization. But with organizations giving more freedom to the employee, there is a flip side to it, where the freedom that the organization is giving could also be misused by the employees. So how are organizations handling those flip side of things that could come with the transformation? Like as Mahindra pointed out, that there would be some resistance when you're trying to bring in some change. And when the change comes in, there would be flip side of things where employees are probably misusing it. Like if you're introducing 360-degree feedback, I could probably talk to my team member, say, I also give you good feedback, you also give me good feedback, we're done with the 360 feedback, right? There are multiple such ways where there are workarounds where employees could misuse it. So how are organizations actually handling this challenge?
Basically, like you were talking about 360-degree feedback, it doesn't go to the person you are selecting. It can go to anyone. That too, it is basically calculated. If you see Outlook, you will find with whom you have contacted or mailed maximum number of times, with whom you have maximum collaboration. Might be possible that it will be going to that person, but it is not sure that it will be going to the same person. Secondly, what I say, and it is basically a mantra for each and everyone over here, and for the employees who are working in service sector. Earlier, like Bharat, India was called Krishi Pradhan Desh. Right now, everything is getting into service sector, and service sector is rising. So there is a mantra of ABC, that is, you need to be available. A stands for that. And then comes your behavioral aspect, B. And third is the content. The content is right now being taken care by AI. So the initial two things, be available and you need to have a good behavior, can resolve
maximum of your problem. Suppose there is an escalation from your client and you do not pick up the phone. What exactly will happen? The escalation will keep on rising, right? So you need to pick up the phone the very first time when you are getting a call. Secondly comes the behavior. So when you start speaking to your client, definitely if you are not polite enough and if you are rude, then definitely another project will be gone from your company. And then comes the content where you actually do the job, and that is being taken care by AI right now. So what in near future, maybe after 5 years, I think this mantra will definitely prevail.
Sure.
So in every of the change, there is a resistance. And rightly, I remember the start of the discussion. So I mentioned about the balance, correct? It's not only that we should completely remove the working hours, but it's all about adding a new values as well. So maybe I can get an example of one of my friends who was working in a reputed IT company. I won't mention a name, but it happened to be he was having all the freedom. It was a time during the pandemic, post-pandemic, or maybe early 2022. On the name of psychological thing or something likewise, his organization was carrying up an initiative where they were calculating the stress of the employees. Ultimately, they had taken out and tool into their laptops, their official laptops, which are counting the screen time as well. You understand, like both of the aspects. So they were giving a proper sort of freedom to the employees. Ultimately, they were having the different strategies to control as well. So control always being a fundamental of the basic market management things. So definitely control should be there, but in terms of not in a upfront manner, you are not having your screen times, you're not completing the working hours. Ultimately, by the different aspects, by the different strategies, yeah, that can be done.
Yeah.
Say something.
If we have.
What's the question?
So I was asking, like, with the new innovations coming in and defining the performance metrics, right? There could be a flip side of things where these metrics could probably be misused by employees for their benefit. So how are organizations actually handling such things that are happening in their companies?
I think mishandling cannot be, removed completely. I think, as you said rightly, that whenever we will say about the change, there will be always resistance to change. So the first and foremost thing is that when you're working for the organizations, don't work as an employee. Work as an owner of the company, because that ownership mindset is going to kill the discipline part, kill the the things which are coming out of the integrity and all. That will be killed basically, because what I've seen it, when you bring anything new to the organizations, as I said, there will be always resistance. And resistance is very simple, it's because only you don't know, you're working in a known world. So you know that this is your role, these are the skills which is required and which you're doing since many years and all. But learning to the new skills because of the change which has been, taken as a kind of a mandate by the organizations or the owner of the organizations. Changing is it's a process. When I'm saying process, you can change I can say the technology overnight. I can say, okay, this organization is basically working on balanced scorecard performance. Now I wanted to bring AI-based kind of things, or maybe I wanted to bring OKR kind of a model and all. But people are basically, they don't know. So changing technology and the process, it's an overnight job. You can do it immediately. But the people, those who are basically, driving the change, the people, those who are employees of the organizations, they are the driver, and they require a very special kind of, I can say, hobnobbing, or in Hindi, I call it the pyar ki jappi, because until if they are not, seeing the value in the sense that, if I will use this particular tool or say use this particular process, this is the benefit which I am going to get it as an individual. Until unless, this is not being convinced, the resistance will never go off. I still know, I worked with almost 5 Fortune 100 companies based out of US, Europe and all. And the major challenge which I faced is, managing the change. And change is not for technology and process, change for the people mindset. And as I said, they are the driver. 20 years back, the change which was happening into a transformation part or in a technology part or in a business process, business engineering, the failure rate was 75%. And you're surprised to know after 20 years, it is still 75%. You go to the Gartner report, you go and see, basically the father of change management and all, is a John Cotter and all. You just see, still it is remaining same. But the only thing is that if you really wanted to manage the resistance in an effective way, you have to do 2 things. One, the continuous communication. This change is happening. This is how the change is happening. This is how your job is going to get impacted. This is how we are going to take care of upskilling and reskilling. The first part is the communication, and second part is the education. Education is nothing, it's only for triple E only. Again, education, exposure, and experience. Because if organization can take care of your upskilling and reskilling, you are going to learn the new skills which is required for the new technology or new process. That is basically, the buy-in is required. And this is how you can do the complete transition in a very smoother way. And then you can come into the steady state because it's all how you are, managing the change in the organization.
I think this was a very fruitful discussion that we had on defining how the performance metrics are going to change in the future to come. How some of the things that were relevant in the past still hold value, but not completely, but there are other things that are actually supplementing the other metrics that were used in the past. So before I sum this discussion, I will open the floor for questions. May I know how much time we have for questions? 10 minutes. Okay. Yeah. Sure.
So there are a lot of discussions around AI, and we gave a conclusion that it fits in the reference of data. But in some cases, at the end of the day, an individual has to take the matter.
Yeah.
Topic that how we are going to measure the can AI be used, and if it can it be trusted? Because whenever we use AI, there's always a message in the process that it can make mistakes. And based on the factors that you mentioned quantitative factors, but there are some qualitative factors also which help in the final performance metrics whenever they are measured. So my main question is that can AI be used or can it be trusted technically to measure them?
Yes, AI can be used, and if I ask you, how many have heard about the Six Sigma? What is Six Sigma? Green belt, yellow belt, black belt, master black belt. Yeah, what is Six Sigma? It's a tool for the process improvement. And when you talk of the Six Sigma is basically whatever you're doing, it should be 99.99% correct, right? So when I'm saying 99.99% correct means the defect will be, we call it the DPM, that is, 1 defect per million. 10 lakh में एक defect हम tolerate करेंगे इस particular process में, otherwise नहीं. Fine. But if I give you the example, of have you heard about the the air crash of Ahmedabad? कितने साल के बाद हुआ था? Are you ready to bear that crash? 10 lakh के बाद ही एक crash हुआ. No, answer is simply no. But do we not trust on the system being developed by ATR and all, air traffic control, ATC? We trust on that. No? So I think there will be always factors, corrective factors is required. Some kind of, the dubious moment will also come where that will shake your entire system. You're surprised, when this particular accident happened, the chairman of Tata, Mr. Chandra, he has left the AGM, which happens, once in a year, and he was just sitting to fix the problem with that. And a lot of, the jigs happen and also what I'm saying that we have to trust on the tool also, but it doesn't mean that we should leave the cognitive mind. That is also important. So use both, right? And having a dependency on the calculator, it doesn't mean that you have, forget how to calculate 2 plus 2 and, 2 plus 2 what. So use both the things, because the combination of both, the AI will remain and the actual intelligence will also remain. And they will go hand in hand. So high tech is one side and high touch is other side. So you have to have a combination of both. High tech will run with the high touch, because high touch is not going to go off. AI cannot replace your brain, who is helping us in terms of devising the AI basically. So have a combination of both, and that is going to, write the new business operating model for all the industries, whether it's the agro, whether it's a, the process industry or manufacturing industry or high tech, or even the service industry, whether it's a BFSI or whatever. So you need to have a combination of both to run the business, and that's going to sustain going forward.
I think sir answered it pretty well. AI is not going to completely eliminate the way traditionally how performance was being measured. It could supplement some of the things that we were doing, but it would not be the only factor that would drive the overall employee performance. Yes.
So my name is Vinayak Shah, and there has been a lot of discussion for all AI for the employees' point of view. But let us take a step back and talk about the individual's point of view. So how do organizations ensure that the individual creativity and the critical thinking when this AI can be used by the individuals? So how do organizations?
Right, please.
Let me cite you one thing. So, before joining Tata Steel, I was working with a PSU. So I used to work with my DGM, and he used to dictate us the letters that we used to send to the vendors. Okay. So and our task, me and one more of my friend who is right now AGM over there. So we used to type letters, and it kept on. We kept on changing the letters again and again and again. So at least writing a letter took at least 4 to 5 hours. Now a similar kind of letter is being written by junior staff in my company using Copilot. So definitely you are saving time. Everyone cannot be a good a person who is having a good skills in writing letters, right? At least you are saving time over there. But definitely you see what type of letter that they are writing, the way the prompt should be given, that kind of training should be given to the employees. For example, earlier it was told to us, if you are very much angry, then do not reply your mail. Just go and have tea outside and come back after half an hour and then again write. But now what you can do, you can ask AI, though you are angry enough, just give a prompt that write in a polite manner. The letter that will be replied, it will be in polite manner, though you are angry enough. So this is how things are changing, and we need to accept it.
So just to add to what Mr. Pratyush highlighted, so I'm just giving an example how our organization, ServiceNow, is trying to educate employees how AI can be leveraged, and at the same time ensure that their roles are not getting fully impacted because of AI. So now we are introducing AI in everything. So we have a directive from the top level that put AI to work. So whatever we are doing, whatever feature that we are building, or whatever request submit that we are getting from the clients, we are ensuring that we are thinking AI first. So it is not that first you build a feature and then apply AI on it. No, you first think how if AI can be leveraged to accomplish a particular task, and then see if that task is actually making sense or not. So that is how our company is ensuring that employees are not missing out on something which is actually happening in the industry. Everybody is getting equal opportunity to learn what AI is, to apply those skills at your role, and also ensure that the company is growing along with you.
Just to add, what is so I think if you see the report of World Economic Forum, there are some critical skills which needs to be possessed by the individuals. Okay, and out of those skills, I think you already named the innovations and the critical thinking. So those are the skills which is remain. It is always close to the individuals, close to the team and all. And that's not going to die, whether there is AI or not AI. Fine. But there are some other, the skills which is also required. Like I can give you some of the names, and I feel that you should also develop those skills. One is the storytelling. It's very important, skills, which is required for, how you can make your effective communications. I call it, present to impact. So I'm presenting myself or my product or my services and how it is going to impact my, whosoever is my audience. This is one thing. The second part, which is also important, is the digital dexterity, because these all AI or analytics, that all comes into that part. One of the biggest problem which is already started evolving is the cyber security, cyber crime. So you can see these all digital arrest and all these are the new things. But what is the readiness of the organizations, readiness of the employees to handle those type of situations which are completely illegal? Right. So you have to be very agile, alert when you are becoming, a citizen of the country. Digital first will also remain, but some of the cognitive things like the problem solving skills, the critical thinking, the innovations, that is going to remain. It cannot be replaced by AI. AI will replace only those things which are repetitive. I was in a forum last month, no, this month only, where there was basically a discussion on AI in action, and very similar kind of the questions came into. And the answer was very simple, that AI is not going to replace everything. AI is going to replace only those things which are repetitive. And if I ask, I asked the questions to the audience also, almost 25, 100 people virtually and 500 physically. So the maximum, the highest common things which came on the AI name is that using of, the chat GPT for basically, prompting to get your mail rectified or maybe, enhancing or improving your mail. Rest, they all talk of AI, but actual use case are not available. So it's very important, when you talk of AI, don't talk AI for the sake of AI. Try to understand that, what use case or what problem can be solved by AI and what cannot be. And of course, the innovations, the critical thinking will be not solved by AI. That's take a note of it. It will always remain with the individuals.
So in the interest of time, we'll take one final question and then wrap this up. Sure.
Very good evening to all. I am Aditi Rana. So as we begin the discussion, we talked about how organizations are shifting towards more towards centric of employees, like their culture, how they work. But in today's world, if there are still many financial institutions who are not adapting to the new ways of working, like they are working in the traditional ways, like if I say in a language that they are still following a toxic culture to make the most output from their employees. And as we talk about the patients, the upcoming generation doesn't have patience for so much negativity that they would like to switch to another. So how would the upcoming generation would deal in the situation like this?
So basically, if we talk about the financial organizations or the institutions, so mostly what they are doing is what important is. So let's say, for example, a fintech organization or a normal finance organization, they are filled up with the manpower bifurcation, or they are having more than 50% of the manpower into sales, I think, sales and maybe the customer service. So if I talk, just I'm asking about the thing, if it's not the working hour and a company or financial organization or any of the organization working into the similar sort of operations. First thing, company might say it's not the working hours. So all the sales people are getting the salary just for the sake of the sales done. So that is the incentive. That is the different part. But again, they are getting of the salary, right? Individually, they're thinking of, correct? Other part, what exactly then other financial institutes are supposed to do. So it is something a financial, maybe let's say bank. It again operates into the time map. Customers say, are coming into the bank for a particular time. and they're going back from the past to the current culture. So it is a time-based organization again. So rather being into that culture, so they are front of into the operations, they have to follow this. It's not about not being employee centric, but yes, they're more into the like they have a face towards the customer as well. So maybe these things are not that easy for them to balance. But yes, there are multiple things, multiple like practices are there. Like if at all my operation is in that manner, definitely organizations are trying to. But a direct comparison between the sectors about like about the work timings or again about the satisfaction of the employee, which is going like what exactly the organization or the particular whole sector of the businesses are doing towards the employee satisfaction, that is remaining the question, right? But ultimately, it is something which is a fact of the truth as well. Farmer cannot give a wages without her. Organization should not count on the things ultimately without understanding what exactly is doing. So somewhere the nature of the businesses, there are options, there are alternate options. Maybe not something the organization should go harsh towards the employees, but again, understanding what exactly the most productive manner of working is, so they have to follow it. So ultimately, it is all about how the environment you are cultivating in. Yes, AI is the thing which is giving an ease of access, again, productivity of timing. So multiple, like I had heard about the financial institutes like SBI had shifted the thing. For the customers, they had thought of thinking lunch break nearly. They shifted their employees out into lunch shifts differently. So this is how it is taken to care for the employees as well. So again, human resource department is into the each and every organization, and who wants to be the higher level. So no one HR or not a human resource professional is working into any of the industry who will be not thinking about my employee should not develop. So or maybe I'll be hiring for lifetime, but I'll be very harsh to my employees. Or the company who will be not looking after the sustainability. Definitely, as the sir mentioned earlier as well, it is not about how much experience you carry, how much the expertise you carry into the sector. It is all about the ideology, what exactly the visualization you have, or what exactly the mission you carry into the industry when you come in. So it is all about how I will be sustainable, I'll be potential enough, I'll be defending up to my competitors, I'll be honest with my customers, I'll be honest with my employees. So this is how the strategies are used by each and every organization. Just the thing is we are comparing it down because we have that accessibility. Like for example, if I'm a guy from 1970s, I'm working in the civil or maybe a construction sector, I'm really unaware of what exactly is done into the bank. But now the accessibility is increasing, the questions are increasing. So that's it.
So basically, there are two terms. One is the policy. The policy, if you go through the policy of any of the organization, it is more or less same. And it is very much employee centric whenever the policies are met. Second comes implementation, where you define the culture or the environment of where you are working. So it totally depends on the boss. So it is not dependent on the organization that we are talking about. So if you talk about the organizations right now, the organizations should follow the triple bottom line. That is, they should focus on people, they should focus on planet along with profit. So this is the three triple bottom line that the organization should follow.
I will come precisely. What is your question? What's your question?
So my question was that only that the new generation which are coming, how will they adapt? Because like people who are like above our generation, they have been sustaining into this culture for a very long time. But the people like us, we are not patient enough. We are not patient enough to tolerate all the culture, all the politics basically that happens during the organization. So that cultural shift.
So, the politics will remain.
Yeah,
That's not going to go off because, as I said, there is a says by, the father of sociology, Auguste Comte said, man is a social animal. Okay. Similarly, Socrates said, man is a political animal. Okay. So when there is a group of people, they will do the politics and it will remain. The only thing is, what you have to do. There should be enough agility in the organizations, which can adapt to that. So if I'm, working as an individual contributor, It doesn't mean that I will remain individual contributor throughout my life. Ultimately, you have to come into the team and you have to come into, the manager roles and all. Because there are a lot of organizations, those who have not adopted to the new change. Like if I take the example of Nokia, where they are right now. Why? Not adopting with, the change in the business model. Similarly, if I talk of Kotak, have you heard the name of Kotak? They're known for what? I'm talking of not Kotak Bank, Kodak. Camera. So where is that company? Have you heard the name of Sony? Where they are? Where they were and where they are. So the reason is very simple, if you cannot focus on what employees require, okay, you're not going to sustain. So I know, I think 20 years back or 15 years back, Sony was, the top kind of, the company into the electronics. Now that position has been taken over by Samsung. And they have taken this position only based on one thing. Can you name anybody? And now they are at the top in the ladder. Only one thing called design thinking, nothing else. They focus on, what my customer need. What is the pain of my customer which I need to address it? Okay. And they have not gone to, getting the feedback from the employees ki mera product kaisa hai. Like I worked in one of the company, before they launch any product, they go back to the employees and they take their, basically their views on that. And then they launch the product and all. So what they do, they go to the customer, and that's the success story of, the most branded company in this globe is Apple. And Apple principle, is basically working on the design thinking. And design thinking is nothing, is basically go back to the customer, those who are using your product, and ask them, what is your pain? What do you want me to solve? And they take the input from, the customer, the pain part, and they convert into basically, there are 5 steps of the design thinking where they have do the brainstorming part and all. They gave for, MVP. MVP is nothing, it's a minimum viable product. So the features which you are getting from the, on the Apple phone or even the Samsung, it is based on the pain of the customer only. They don't come up, something like, GM, they come with a new, the car, and they launch the car into the market. And after 6 months, they are finding there is some issues with the gear. What they do, they call back all the product from the market and they replace with a new product. There is a cost on that. The first cost is not of, calling back the product, the reputational value of the company. The reputation which they have won in last, say, 100 years or 70 years, that has gone into zero because they have launched some product which is a faulty and that is being used by the customer. Same happened with the Toyota and all. Sony is now, it's a number 3 company only because they have not focused right in the beginning with the customer. Customer are very agile, Even if you ask what you want to, the individuals, they will unable to explain it. And think of a company, who is not understanding your problem and they're developing some product and launching into the market. So what I'm saying, the culture is changing, and if they are still working with a conventional way, that is bound to change. Otherwise, that organization will go off because no employees wanted to work like a servant. They wanted to work with the ownership. They want to work with this team. If they are not valued on that, they will not continue or sustain. There will be high attritions, and that's why a lot of the organizations they became agile. And again, the culture is the culture which I mean the KP is there. Is name of your company is KP, no? USDC. So, like take Mahindra is there. Every company has a unique culture. You cannot make the culture of Tata. Are you getting the same culture of Tata? What you have seen in Tata, and now you can take.
But my team is getting the same culture what I used to get in Tata.
So It's not a, the advanced version or revised version. It's the old version, right? So I'm saying, it's very important if you really wanted to sustain in the organization, be agile and try to learn the culture fast. Every organization has, unique culture and you can continue, with only that culture. And culture is created by not X, Y, Z of the CEO of the company. The culture is created by the employees. And that's why, the mystery has gone because he was misaligned to the Tata culture. And that's why he has been asked to go, right? So Tata is not for profit making, they are also for social cause. And I think that guy was not understanding that social cause is equally important than the business. Cool. So I will just.
Thank you. I think that is.
Just wanted to add one thing, like from your end, like the students who are getting into the industry. So one thing that clicked into myself, like okay, how could we sustain into this world? Like as I mentioned, there will be different culture, but yeah, the one thing that is really important before getting or while walking into the corporate is all about self-branding. How you keep yourself into the new team, new culture, or the team you are working from a previous time or maybe from the longer time. So self-branding will be always a bigger thing that you have to invest your mindset into those. Yeah.
So one thing, when we talk of the culture at all, I think there are two things which is very important. It's your takeaway from the, from my side. One is that, I think the learning format is available 24/7 on your fingertips. Agreed or disagree? Correct? Na? आपके पास mobile होगा, smart mobile, you can learn everything. Fine. So learning agility is one thing which you have to continue. The second part, the illiterates, I'm just using, one of the says, the great says of Alvin Toffler. Have you heard the name of Alvin Toffler? Suna kisi ne? He's a futurologist. He has written 3-4 books, Power Save, Third Wave and all. He said illiterates of the 21st centuries are not those who can read and write. Illiterates are those who cannot unlearn, relearn and upskill. So it's very important that, you should carry the passion index of learning and the learning agility, because that's going to decide your career and the career growth.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you to all the panel members for such an informative session that we had today. We had some good takeaways that maybe most of us could take those takeaways with us and probably apply when we are actually entering the corporate world. And in conclusion, what I would like to say, I wish I had AI to sum it up whatever discussion that we had. There was too much information flowing in the discussion. So, but I've made a note of a few points that we could probably highlight. So talking from the employee perspective, as our panel members highlighted, the change is about to happen. But as an employee, how open you are to unlearn and adopt that change, how accountable you are, what value that you're bringing to the organization would be the key driving factors for your success in an organization. Whereas when it comes from the organization point of view, from the organization point of view, organizations need to give value to the employees as one of the use case or the industry that you were talking about, the financial industry, where probably there is a lot of burnout happening within the employee workforce. So if the organizations are not adapting to the needs of the employees, there are chances that we are going to be disrupted and some other company will take over, because the new generation is not looking for adopting or resisting to whatever organization is saying, but they are trying to create their own ways. And to finally conclude on AI is not a thing that was just talked about in guest lectures or on some platforms. AI is a thing which is happening in real, irrespective of whether you like it or not like it. So it is important that you learn what are some of the important things which will never go away even when AI comes into picture. Like some of the things that our panel members highlighted, your attitude that would never go away, your ability to unlearn and learn new things that would never go away. So yes, AI could be leveraged to improve your overall productivity, but having that innovative thinking mindset and unlearning mindset would definitely help you take forward. Yeah. With that, I would like to hand it over to you.
As we conclude this edition of Samanvaya, we extend our heartfelt gratitude to our distinguished guests, esteemed faculty, and enthusiastic students for contributing to an insightful and energizing day of dialogue. Under the theme The New Social Contract, Balancing Employee Freedom and Organizational Discipline, we reflected on the evolving dynamics of work, leadership, and the human experience. Today's discussion served as a powerful reminder that shared wisdom and collaborative insight are key to navigating uncertainty and seizing opportunities in a rapidly changing world.
We are especially grateful to our panelists, Mr. Manoj Kumar Prasad, Mr. Pratyush Rahul, Mr. Rushal Chaudhari, whose diverse perspectives gave us a panoramic view of the modern workplace. We would also like to extend a special thank you to Mr. Shivam Maheshwari for moderating the session with such enthusiasm and insight. To start off, Manoj sir, your perspectives on performance measurement were truly enlightening. You reminded us that while many organizations still rely on timesheets, balanced scorecards, the world is moving towards outcome frameworks like OKRs. Your point that output matters more than input captured this shift perfectly. At the time, you emphasized that integrity more than discipline forms the backbone of a professional. Your advice to become differentiators and value creators, since skills can always be trained, will guide us as we move from campus to corporate. We would like to request Professor Utkarsh, Chair of Placements, to present a token of gratitude to Mr. Manoj Kumar Prasad.
Your emphasis on the Madhyamar or middle path brought balance to the discussion. You highlighted that performance is a blend of both hours and outcomes, measured not just financially, but also through customer satisfaction, learning, and growth. Your insights on the evolution of appraisals from annual reviews to quarterly feedbacks and tools like behavior awareness interviews showed us how performance management is transforming. The addition of CQ, EQ, DQ, and the innovative quotient gave us a broader lens to view human potential. We would like to request Professor Utkarsh, Chair of Placements, to present a token of gratitude to Mr. Pratyush Rahul.
Tushar sir, you grounded the discussion in organizational realities. Your point that performance depends not on our spend, but on the impact and contribution made was powerful. You stressed that KRAs, KPIs, and accountability should guide assessments, supported by CRM and real-time tools. At the same time, you reminded us that honesty, integrity, and dedication remain equally crucial. Your perspective that employees must align personal efforts with organizational goals underline the importance of shared purpose. We would like to request Professor Deepak, Chair of Placements, to present a token of gratitude to Mr. Rushal Chaudhari.
Finally, we extend our heartfelt gratitude to one of our very own, Mr. Shivam Maheshwari, for steering today's discussion with such clarity, balance, and depth. With thoughtful questions, smooth transitions, and ability to bring out diverse perspectives from our esteemed panel truly enriched the conversation. And welcome back, sir. We would like to request Professor Deepak, Chair of Placements, to present a token of gratitude to Mr. Shivam Maheshwari. We would also like to thank Ms. Gayatri Mahajan ma'am for gracing us with her presence today and request Professor Utkarsh, Chair of Placements, to present her with the bouquet. As we bring Samanvaya to a close, let this not mark an end, but rather the beginning of more such thought-provoking conversations and lasting collaborations. Thank you once again for making this conclave truly meaningful. We wish everyone safe travels and look forward to welcoming you again. Thank you.
You can have a photo. Yeah, please.